I'm slow today, but I'm slow because this weather will not make up its mind. So I actually have the Bluegrass channel on in the background. If you think I'm going to get copywritten struck, please let me know and I'll turn it off. I don't think you can hear it, but if you can, let me know. So I'm doing a couple of things tonight, just kind of quick things tonight. I would burnt this a long time ago, and it was going to go to a friend that was a Queen fan. And it's just barely wood burn. I didn't scar the wood or anything. I'm going to actually, because I did such a good job on the edges and it's such a pretty sign, I'm going to be turning this into something else for David's December sale. And I'm going to be turning the shadow box into something for the December sale as well. Now, everybody that goes to church, do not come after me right here in a minute. Is that just really light hair? Is there something in my hair? Don't y'all love it when I go dig in my craft room and then I come on here and you have to help me find stuff and get it out of my hair? What is that? Is that just my hair? I think it's my ponytail holder. Okay, well, we're going to forget about that. Yeah, it's the silver on my ponytail holder. I need my glasses to come in, y'all. So bad. Okay, so everybody that goes to church and loves the hymnals, don't come after me right now, because what I have is an old hymnal that had seen better days, had lost several of its pages, and some of its spine had split. And I thought that I could turn it into something, so I'm turning it into something. So do not come after me, because what I'm doing is saving an old hymnal from being thrown to the garbage, and it's still going to go into someone's home and be loved and create great memories and hopefully prompt singing. So what I'm looking for right now is the Christmas section. Let me find it. Boy, this would be so much easier if I was not blind. Wouldn't it be so nice if I was not blind? It would help so much. The first Noel. Okay. So I'm going to try to save this old hymnal from going in the garbage. And I'm going to put some of these old Christmas hymns in here. And so that they're still shared, people can still enjoy them. And the people that purchase them, I'm sure, will be people that want to hear and remember these hymnals. Silent Night, yeah, I've got Silent Night in here. It's a smaller one. I think I need 2 full pages. I might need 3. So I might be able to put 3 songs on here. So I'm going to do Silent Night, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, and probably Joy to the World. And so I'm going to very carefully score these pages, because I'm going to have to trim them down even more when I get them out of there. So like I said, don't come after me. The majority of these will still be readable, and people, I'm sure, will still use them. And that's why they'll have them hanging on their wall, is it's going to be a good reminder of their favorite hymns from church during Christmas time. So I am trying. Cats, get off the door. I'm not feeding you. My cats are already on the door. So I wanted to craft last night, but my hands have taken a really hard time coming back from all I put them through last week and then being out and this weather changing. So my hands have not done so great. Oh, now I need a short song for this. Oh, that's perfect size. We'll just do that one. And oddly enough, this one's name is Worship the King, so I guess it just wanted to be in there. Last week I did a lot of crafts and did a lot of housework, and it was a prettier week, and my body was working good, and so I overused it a little bit. And so I paid for it, especially after being up Saturday, and my legs and feet didn't swell, but my hands swelled really bad to the point where my callus is split again. I've still got skin coming off of them, as you can see there. And I can't wear any of my rings. Thank you, Oscar, for slurping up water right now. I need to trim just a little bit of that off. But so I've had a really difficult time getting my hands to bounce back from this. Hi, China. So I'm on tonight to prep and get my hands working, because tomorrow night or Friday night will be the craft where we make the cat. And so I'm trying to get my hands to working for the cat craft, because the cat craft is something I'm looking forward to so terribly much. I mean, y'all just have no idea. I'm super stoked for the kitty cat chupacabra that I'm going to make. And I've been trying to let my body rest, let my hands rest, and just trying to get everything to working again without being delayed. Or I smacked myself in the face, I can't tell you how many times this week, just because my hands do not want to work. It's kind of, I mean, I'm laughing about it, but it's kind of sad. It's really sad, because I'll be trying to do something and I'll just smack myself in the face just because my hands don't work. And it's frustrating because it's like they're on a delay, and so I'll reach for something and think I'm going like to my ear to grab my earring to fix it, or put a cracker in my mouth, and I'll just smack myself in the face. And it's like, okay, Elizabeth, well, we're having a great hand day, aren't we? So it's been one of those weeks, and oddly enough, it was my hands that chose to be turds after this venture out last weekend. And so I've just had to be still and allow them. Look how great that fit in there. And I've just had to kind of allow them. It's a little crooked. I've just, there, now we're straight. I've just had to allow them to heal on their own time, which is frustrating for me, because if y'all know me, I'm a very punctual person, and when I have to kind of wait on my body, it really irritates me a lot. So it's been kind of irritating. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is a super simple little craft. If you happen to have a songbook that the pages are coming out of, or you can go to your library or go to your printer, and you can resize the page to fit in whatever you are going to put it on. You can resize it and print it and Mod Podge it that way. But since I have a songbook that's slowly falling apart, I thought this would be a great way to use it and let it still be out there in the world doing positive things, and save it from the landfill. I can't keep my Mod Podge open. Save it from the landfill or a worse fate. So that was my intention behind. When I saw somebody actually print out, I thought, oh, well, I've got that hymnal that's falling apart. That would be a great thing for it. Now, I'm probably going to distress it. I was about to get a butter knife and go around the edge of the thing. I may alternate, like rough paint or whitewash the outside of this and then distress it. I don't know. It depends on what it looks like when I get it done. And I may just double some tea on it and tea stain it and let it go. I don't know yet. But I want to wait until I get the Mod Podge on the page to see what color the page turns, and then I'm going to make the color of the shadow box appropriate to that. Now, I also, for the shadow box, I can do it in, what I'm thinking about doing is putting these little trees in there, taking them off the things and putting little trees in there, and then finding a little tiny deer and then putting just a bow on the outside. Do I know if it will absolutely work out that way? No, because y'all know when I get started doing something, we never know how it's going to end up. Let me turn this up a little bit. We never know how it's going to end up, because my brain wanders and changes course several times during a craft. Now I'm going to tilt my camera down. Get off the air conditioner. I'm not feeding you. Did you hear that? It's Mr. McGibbons. I have named the orange cat that hates me. His name is Mr. McGibbons because he meows at me. He sounds like a gibbon monkey, a whooper monkey. And for some reason, since it's been cold, he's decided he should be my new BFF and he should live in my home, which he tries to dart into every time the door is open, but he's feral. So if I try to reach for him or get him out of my house, we have to have a come apart moment. So Mr. McGibbons has decided he is going to attempt every time he hears me in the front part of the house to break into my home. But then once in my home, he looks at me and goes, oh crap, I didn't think beyond this. What do I do now? So we're having a problem with one of the cats. My hope is that little Miss Brina Dawn will end up down here and make friends to him and take him home with her. That's my hope. Because he's driving me nuts. Driving me absolutely nuts. So if y'all hear massive noises coming from outside my house, nobody's coming after me. It's just that darn cat. I don't know what to do with him. I don't. So, little turd. He tears my screens up, we're going to have war. Because then I'll have to rescreen my screens, and I don't like to do that. Okay, let's get busy. So what we're going to be using is just Mod Podge mat. I don't go all fancy smancy. Unless I'm doing something that's going to be in the kitchen, then I'll use the hard shell, food proof, or the dishwasher safe Mod Podge. But if you're just doing regular stuff that you ain't going to lick, which I hope most of you don't lick your crafts. If you're just doing stuff you ain't going to lick, just use regular Mod Podge. Whatever kind they got on sale, Mod Podge pretty much works like Mod Podge. I like the matte because it doesn't create as much shine and glare. And if y'all had my eyes for a day, you would understand why I don't like shine and glare. Oh, and my glasses ought to be back in here anytime. Ask you how you know. You know because of your little orange Satan, I'm sure. I really hope that we can get him tamed on down so that we can get him caught, get his shots in him, and get him to a forever home. But Lord help me if he breaks into my house once more this week. For sakes. If he breaks into my house once more this week and then looks at me like, what do I do now? Because I'm like, apparently you break everything I have in my home now. He's been a little turd this week, so we're not having the best week with the cats. They're being little turds. Okay, I'm going to tip this down. I'm still going to talk so that y'all can watch. This is super easy. My hands are probably going to be boogers tonight, so ignore them. They look like sausages, and they're on like a delayed function, but we're going to get through this. We're going to make this happen because in the next 24 to 40 hours, we're going to be doing the Chupacabra cat. So they got to be working. They got to do better than they've done today. That's my big deal. Okay, here we go. We're tipping down. And yes, I have on a very nice shirt, and then I have on PJ bottoms. So y'all just get used to it. It is how I live. Okay, this is just a shadow box that you can get at your local Wally World for a couple bucks. I'm just going to take a generous helping of the Mod Podge. And if you're like me and have everything in your shadow box, you pick it out after you put the Mod Podge in. This has been in my home, this shadow box. I've been staring at it for probably over a year. Been thinking about what to do with it and hadn't struck me until today. And then I went, oh darn, well, let's just go ahead and we're going to sit down and do this craft. Okay, I'm trying to get all the random fuzz behind the picture and not in front of the picture because that would not do well. Okay, so the one we have for the inside is just Oh Worship the King. And now he's cut crickets, so I'm going to have to raise him up and look at him for just a second. Now I'm going to be putting a border on the inside, so I'm not super worried about what the page looks like up against the edge. Now that I've got him in there, I'm just going to go over him with a light coat of Mod Podge. No, I've never done this before, so we're all learning something today. We'll see what this looks like tomorrow. And what I'm doing when I put this Mod Podge on him is I'm just trying to get all the air bubbles out. This is why I got a, woo, there goes my hands. That's why I got a stiffer brush. So I'm using the brush to put the Mod Podge on and to get the air bubbles out. But when you put a little layer behind it, it normally sticks so good it doesn't get any air behind it. I got one bubble right there. And I don't mind a few bubbles they add. I think they add a little bit of dimension to whatever you're doing. Okay, so this has got to dry for 24 hours. And then we can Mod Podge or paint whatever else we want to do to it. But it's going to take it about a day to dry. So this was the short and quick craft. Cat. Oh, that cat. cat. Okay, so I'm going to sit this over here. I've got a little drawing area prepared. Now this is my big sign, and it's going to take 3 full pages, but I'm going to have to trim them. And what I'm going to do on the front of this is actually probably make a angel or a very tall kind of Christmas tree scene, or a Christmas tree and a star to overlay over this out of twigs, to overlay over this, and then just put some, like a rustic bow with some jute, roughed up jute and twine and a couple of flowers, and that's going to be it. Not going to go... These cats are killing me. Oi! Oi! Stop it! Anybody want 4 cats? I'll give them to you. You get to meet me in the process. Okay, and what I'll do is after I get these Mod Podged on here, I will hit the edge with a sanding block just to rough up the edges, but all I want to do is rough up the edges. I don't want to rough up the rest. So I want, if possible, I want the whole song to show. And that's what I'm going for, but I don't know if I'll be able to fit all of them. That's why I'm folding it to give me guidelines of where to cut. And this is, I've got "O Come All You Faithful" up here at the top. And I would like for the titles to show, but I can cut them out and put them on the tree. Like if I do sticks and I lay a stick here and then I lay sticks going up like this, like to make a Christmas tree, I can replace one of the sticks with the title of the song so that they know what song it is. Of course, if they read for 2 minutes, they'll know, but you know, some people in the obvious don't mesh well. If you've been in society for 5 minutes this year, you completely understand that. Okay, so I've got "O Come All Ye Faithful" measured out. Now let's see if we can fit this one in here. Yeah, and I don't think I ain't even gonna have to cut the bottom of "O Come All Ye Faithful." That's nice. Or that one, maybe. Hey, what's going on here? Everything's gonna work out? What? Say what? Okay, well I get to cut this one off right here below its last line here. That worked out really too well. Now I've just got to measure it in the middle here to know where to cut on the edges. And I want the whole middle to be covered by music, but it doesn't have to be perfection. Sometimes the more rustic these look, the better they look. And while I'm folding it over to get an idea of where to cut from, I certainly also know that I can make it kind of messy on the edges because I am going to hit it with that sanding block and I do not want it to be perfect. So it's just a guideline to show me how much Mod Podge, and I don't want to have to fuss with all the extra paper. But I am going to be hitting the edges with a sanding block, so it does not have to be perfect. So I'm just going to haphazardly cut the edges off here. So it's going to be on there, but it's going to be on the edges. It's going to be kind of rough sanded off to make it look like it's been there a really long time. And it's worn away. That's the whole intent there. That's my whole intent. It may not work out that way, but that's what we're shooting for. That's what we're shooting for. So I don't want it to really be perfectly straight or to perfectly cover the edge. I just need it to make it somewhere close to the edge. And I can hit the rest with a sander block. There we go. See, like there's a little gap right there. I don't even mind that because when I sand and do the sanding block, I'm going to sand that off and kind of make them all kind of meet. And they can overlap just a little bit if they need to. Okay, so I think that's going to be pretty good. Now to cut the last one and then we'll start Mod Podging. Every time I say Mod Podge, I think about my blue Gila that died almost 2 years ago now. We called him, his name was Moses, but I called him Mod Podge. And his favorite song that I sang to him was one off of Dancing in the Rain. And it was the Moses supposes his toes are roses. And I would sing that song to that dog, and he would just absolutely whimper. He loved it. That was his song. I miss that dog. We had him for a long time. He got sick, and he spent a couple nights at the vet, and we thought he was going to make it. But he did not, sadly. We miss him every day. He was a great dog. So every time I work with Mod Podge, I think of my dog. And I really, when Lane got Che, it was about 6 months earlier than I thought Lane would potentially get an animal, because I didn't think he was going to make it after Momo. All right, trying to see. We'll see you tomorrow night or Friday when we do the cat. I will try to make an event so that you all can request a notification, because I know sometimes notifications don't happen all the time on just when I go live. I'm not getting a lot of notifications for a lot of my channels right now, so I understand that. So I wanted to make sure of the date and see how my hands were doing. I'm shaking pitiful tonight. But I wanted to make a event so that you all could request notification and actually get a real notification, because I know just getting the live notifications it's not really working right now for most channels. It's just not working right now. Even though I know that will dry clear, I'm still a little overkill and I want to pull it off there. Now here's your chance to move it if you need to move it, because until you get it stuck down, you got just a little bit of wiggle room. And when I say a little bit of wiggle room, I didn't mean a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm just going to get the air bubbles out now, and I'm going to go over the whole thing all together at once. I'm going to put the other one at the top next, and then the one in the middle is going to be on top of the other two. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want it on top of the other two, front and center. So I'm going to put the ends on first and put the one in the middle on last, so that it is on the top and front and center, because that is where eyes are going to go first. So obviously I want it to be full text and easily read. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay down the Mod Podge. Since this is going pretty fast, I'm going to go ahead and lay down the Mod Podge for the next couple. I'm going to go ahead and hit the top of that one so that it sticks fairly good. I'll get this. Put the top one on first. Get the air bubbles out. Let's see here. Okay, so that's all three of them laid down. Now we're going to go over the top with the next coat of Mod Podge. And I like a thicker coat, especially if I know I'm going to be hitting the sides with a sanding block. I like a thicker coat so that when it's dried, I know it's dried on there. So I do get a little bit overkill sometimes with the Mod Podge, so just make peace with that now. I know I'm going to make half of yous want to scream. This has got a little bit of a ripple effect because the wood underneath it has had pyrography done. I don't mind that. I think it makes it look even more rustic, so I'm not really worried about that. I'm going to take the extra and pull it on back up here. I did flip the top and put Hark the Herald Angels up because at the last minute, that's what my brain said to do. So if you have one of those brains, I'm sure you understand that. My brain likes to try it in at the last moment and tell me what it thinks I should do. That's what it said to do. So, okay, now I'm just going to lightly go over this and try to make all the pathways straight with Mod Podge. Use all the extra that I have laying around. And I'm going to take my little washcloth that I have here. I go through washcloth like nobody's business because I hate paper towels. And if you ever want to buy me a Christmas present, you can buy me a big old honking pack of white washcloths that I can bleach because, oh man, do I go through the washcloths and throw them away. And I have some that are just crafting washcloths that I know are just crafting washcloths, but I still keep and bleach and wash on their own so that I use them instead of anything else that I may be besotted to grab at the last moment while I'm crafting, which would not work out well. Now I am going to lay this one on a chair because it has enough Mod Podge on it that it would leak to the floor. So I'm not going to just stand it up somewhere. I'm actually going to lay it on a chair to let it dry tonight, or on this thing over here, probably on my flower rack. And getting my Mod Podge lid back on may be the next thing. Okay, my hands are working well enough to do that. Okay, I'm going to have to set my flower in the floor. I had to bring in all my flowers because the weather's too cold now. And this will go over and it has to dry for at least 24 hours. And then what I'll do is I will take either a sanding block or I'll put a little sanding block on my Dremel, go around the edge and make the edges look kind of eaten up and distressed. And then I will either decide to leave it the color it is and Mod Podge the whole thing, or I will distress it with a little bit of white, sand it up a little bit more, and then Mod Podge it. I don't know what color the outside's completely going to end up yet, so I tried not to put Mod Podge on it just in case I want to sand and knock some of that brown off later. So this now has got to sit over here for at least 24 hours and dry. And that will become a little wall hanging for whoever wants to purchase it. Now let me go wash my hands and put my brush in water, and I'll be right back. We'll do a couple other small things tonight. Let's see. Okay, one thing that I am currently working on for someone else, wash my hands and get it directly back on me, is I'm actually working on a little Spanky's hat, like off the Little Rascals, for a friend and her son. She's got the whole gang under the Little Rascals. And I started one last night, but I don't actually like the way that I started sewing it, so I'm thinking about restarting it. And all I did was buy the really good solid wool felt in these little squares. And so I may start another and see which one I like the best when I get them sewed, because that's kind of how I roll. Now, Spanky's hat has green and red and yellow in it. And it's kind of the older color, so it's like the 40s colors that are a little bit deeper, a little bit more depressing, kind of. I know that sounds horrible, but that's what it is. So the only thing is the reds I have are not the best reds, but you know, something will make it work. Got an orange in there table. Let's do orange. That orange looks real good there. Maybe that's why the other one didn't look right to me. Let's use these, and then I need a dark strip for the band, and I'm going to do a dark blue or a gray. I might do gray. They say 5x5, but they're not really. They're more 6x6. 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this because this gray is going to be the band. So I'm going to mark this at every inch and a half. I'm going to mark it. And this is going to be my band that goes around the head. I won't need all of them. One will only be half used, but that way I already have them cut and I don't have to worry. Now, this does not have to be perfect either. It's just a little hat that the kid's going to wear one time. I know. I hear all y'all whining. But I do want him to enjoy his time spent in this hat. So the other one that I started, I just did not like the shape of the triangles, so I'm going to do fatter triangles this time. I'm going to do fatter triangles this time and try to get him in a more round hat. And the other one was not working out. Now these will be folded and used as the hem on the edging. So these are my edgings. And so we need a 21-inch circumference. I'm going to make it 21. It needs like 21.5, but as I watch this and work with it, it will stretch a little bit. So I'm just going to make it 21. And each one is almost 6 inches. So technically, if I use the whole thing, I would just need 4. But because of the way it's going to butt up at the top, I may need pieces of the other. So I have to be careful and make sure that I have at least 2 of each color, because I may need to patch the top should the top not come together the way I want it to. So, and that's my concern, is that the top doesn't come together the way I want it to. Let's see, I like those. I wish I had a brown. Do I have a brown? I don't think I have a brown. Oh, I do have a brown. Oh, I do. Stroke luck. Right there was a stroke luck. So I think what I'm going to have to do is to do this old trick right here. And use one of those so that I have this little fat triangle that has a pretty wide give on either side for me, so that if I need to, I can flex a little bit on either side and kind of go with it. So I'm going to cut my first one and then use it as the pattern piece for the others. And I'm thinking if I cut it wider at the top, that way when I do get ready to, well, I can probably cut them all like this because I can see. That will give me like a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I can work a little bit wider at the top, and the edges will come together with a little bit more give. And the top, I'm going to put a little button cover over. So if there's a gap at the very, very top, I'm going to put a little button cover over so it's not the end of the world. And I'm going to save these to piece if I need to piece. Now, I left them like this on the ends because I'm going to be using enough of that I'm going to need that as a seam allowance. And then I will blanket stitch on the inside in the middle. So, in effect, what we're going to be doing... Oh, I got one more cut. Doggone it. In effect, what we're going to be doing is this. And yesterday, I made them way too fat. I mean, way too fat. I'm going to put another green and maybe another yellow. We will see. I've got another yellow and I've got another green. And then I will have to cut some of these down as I'm sewing. But I'd rather have to take away than add, because you can take away as much as you need to, but you can never add it back. So as I take away for the seam allowances and stuff, it will actually become much smaller than it is, and it won't seem as big. But because it's wool, I have to punch it before I sew it. Yeah, I'm going to do another yellow. That would line up pretty good. And it's going to be a brighter yellow, but why do I have another yellow like that? Got that one. That one's more in the color palette. And then I'm going to be making a quilted lamp cover, because I've got to make a hanging lamp for my living room. And so I had to order some fabrics to, and I ordered them pre-cut because y'all know my hands when they're having bad days. And since I'm having a bad week, I just ordered them pre-cut. I did a quilt lot of pre-cut little squares. And I'm going to make a quilted lampshade so that I can put, I've got a hanging lamp rig that only is like $9. And so I'm going to make a hanging lamp with a quilted lampshade for my living room. Because I do not have enough tabletop surface area with this big couch now, and I have to get creative. Okay, so this is what we're starting with. So I will sew each of these seams together, and then I'll turn it inside. I'll leave the little flags, the little square spots down here, I'll leave them. I'll stop at that point right there, and I'll have this much to play with when I fold up to put the band on. As I take the seam allowances, they will shrink substantially, so the headspace coverage will be smaller than you're seeing here. It will become a smaller circle. And then I have the band cut to go around. I don't like the way the one started last night. Now, this is something that I work on when I'm sitting in my recliner. But I'm just going to do a really quick little, I call it a whip stitch, to put them together. And then the band will be the finishing touch. And I think what I may do is start covering a lampshade and make a crazy covered lampshade. What do y'all think about that? Because I don't think I'm going to need those at all. Yeah, I think I'm good there. Let's do a crazy color lamp quilt. Doggone it, I put my Mod Podge up too soon. If y'all could sit with me through that, can y'all sit with me through that? I'm having Wi-Fi issues today too, Clary. It finally started working around about 5 p.m. Everybody's here. Okay, so let me get this Mod Podge and thing back over here, and we'll do this lampshade real quick. I'll show you how to do this. But you never know what I'm going to get into or how I'm going to feel when I start doing something. So I just have to take it moment by moment when I start getting into something. Now I have got this crazy lampshade, which is just going to go in my house. So I don't care. Let me turn this up a little bit. I don't care if people comes into my home and is going to see this crazy lampshade and be like, what the crap? Because they're going to be in my home. In my Mod Podge. They're going to be in my home, and I don't care what they think. And honestly, if you come to my house to look under my lampshade and to look up underneath it and see that it's got stripes, did you come to my house for the right reasons? Probably not. So I'm going to use this wool scraps, and I'm going to start a crazy quilt lampshade. And I'm just going to Mod Podge these on. Mod Podge is my best friend. Oh, if I can get the lid off again. David is going to have new little fur palm ornaments very soon. He started making those. And then, oh my gosh, he got at auction this old, it's like vintage or antique. I've got to do some research on it. I've got gluey hands, so I can't touch it. It's a fur, it's a sable shawl. Oh my gosh, it's pretty. And he got it to go down to the Christmas thing in Cookeville. But it is so pretty. Now, and there's no way it would fit me. It's for a more petite woman. But it is so pretty. And so he's got a lot of interesting stuff going on right now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start placing the scraps on this. Now, I've never tried to Mod Podge with this really thicker wool, so I don't know how it's going to behave. We're going to find out together. But all it is basically like a huge puzzle. And I may work on this over the next several days as I use these little bits of wool. I may work on this, and as I have scrap leftovers, put them on here. And this will be a true, they call it a crazy quilt when you just use whatever pieces and make them work. It will be a true crazy quilt lampshade made out of wool felt. So I'm going to dip the camera back down so y'all can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to start, the key to when you're doing with leftovers is as you have the leftovers is to put them on and space them out. So work around a large area while you have the ability. So I either want to start up here and go down or start at the bottom and go up. And I think actually I'm going to start up here and go down. That way that any Mod Podge I may have to deal with is at least running the right way for gravity to help out. So I'm going to go around first. I'm going to lay this first line around the lip of the top, and I'm going to leave me a little bit of room to where I can trim if I want to. And I'm going to have to be pretty generous with the Mod Podge because this wool is thick. And you can use the Mod Podge on the edges like that if you need to. And you can even, if you need to, go get clothespins and use clothespins to make them stay. But once you get the Mod Podge on them pretty good, they're normally stick. And what I'll probably do is check on it a couple times when David gets home from work and make sure everything's still kind of going the right direction. Now, like I said, I'm going to put a trim on this so it doesn't have to be perfect. Always remember, whatever you're working on, it does not have to be perfect. You will drive yourself batty if you're going for perfection the whole time. I'm just putting on enough to get it, to get it sticky. So that as I block these, they kind of stick together decent. Now, in between where they come together and block, I'm also going to be putting on trim. So don't freak out. If you see a spot that you see, like right here, is going to be a open spot. That's going to have a big wide ribbon trim border on it. So don't freak out. It will be covered. There really are no rules when you're crafting for yourself. So I can have much more leniency in something I'm doing for me than something that I would be doing for someone else. And I think that's one reason I think I don't make a lot for myself is because I constantly have people asking me for things. But, oh, I just flipped that everywhere. But it's also because even when I make stuff, I'm so particular that when people see the stuff I've made for myself, they ask for it. And I'm like, well, doggone, that didn't work. I didn't end up getting anything for me. I'm going to soak these pretty hard because this is a wool blend that I have never tried to Mod Podge with before. So I'm going to soak them pretty thick just to try to make sure that I am getting a good coverage. And I'm trying to lay these all in different ways so that when I trim them and trim them and clip them. I'll get it out in a minute. You can tell I've been in flare recently. I want them to really be a really strange pattern that does not repeat a whole lot. So far, I'm just having one that's wanting to be a booger and not stick, but it's because he's wrapped around this very, very tight little edge right here. And I'm trying to do the upper side of the lamp so that if I have to stop this and continue it on another day, the fabric that I use, it won't be all clumped in one area to kind of flow naturally down the lampshade. So it won't be it will look like a natural progression as opposed to, oh, she had to stop. So that's what I'm trying to do here when I'm trying to lay them out in the most evenly dispersed all the way around, but yet looking haphazard. It's very difficult to do all at the same time. This is why I don't like to do many crazy quilts, because they will drive you crazy, because by the time you get to the bottom, you tend to end up with all the little pieces. And you have to go back and work it to where they look like big pieces, because you shouldn't have saved all your big or your small pieces till the end. I will drive myself crazy on a crazy quilt, which I think may be another reason they call them that. And I'm just going to make some different edges in here every once in a while to make sure that the flow goes the way I want it to go. So if you see me cutting, I'm just making an executive decision. Now I'm allowed to do that. This is mine. I'm trying to keep all the cuts a certain space from the top so that I can trim, and I know it's going to still be covered. I don't really have to worry about that, because I have a pretty wide ribbon that I'm going to trim with, so that I'm not worried about piecing too far down. Now you can simply lay them on top of each other as well and cover a spot. I mean, the Mod Podge will hold it on there. There are no rules. Just allow each layer to dry as you go. I've got one spot tomorrow I may have to stick hot glue on it if it doesn't start behaving a little bit better. And so when you see me make a cut like that, I'm really just trying to keep the top at a certain angle. Okay, just trying to keep the top at a certain angle. So that my piecing later is not super horrendous. But again, this is a new fabric for me to use in this manner, so I don't really, I'm getting Mod Podge everywhere. I don't really know, truthfully, how this is going to end up because I have never used this fabric in this manner before. But this is going to cover like a third of this lampshade already. I'm excited that it covered that much. And of course, I'm going to be using some rickrack that is just patterned ribbon for all y'all that don't know what that lingo. It's just patterned ribbon. I'm going to be using rickrack in between the piecings to disguise some of the gaps. So if you see spaces between gaps, don't freak out. There's going to be rickrack in there. And so there will be coverage. I have made good time on this thing. I've got it all over me. Let's see here. Do this darker green this way. My two greens went together, but that's okay. It will be okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm going to try to soften that up as I stick it there. But I tell you what, this stuff is running everywhere. So there's a spot that needs more. And like I said, in the morning when I wake up, I may come in here and find spots that are pulled away where I may have to supplement with some hot glue, and that's okay. It's nice, you know, it's not admitting defeat if you have to come back and hit it with a glue gun. The glue gun is a tool that we all use. It's necessary. I just was not going to, doing something like this, I was not going to pull the lampshade material off and dedicate myself to hand sew all of this back on there, because then I'd have to make a little tiny crazy quilt and sew it around the beams on the lampshade. And while I don't mind to do that for the other lamp that I want to make for myself, I certainly did not want to do it with a crazy quilt compilation piece here. Because that would have driven me nuts. I wasn't about to commit to that. Okay. I'm trying to make this one piece fit right here. So give me just a minute. Haley called me the other night when I wasn't feeling good, and she gave me the tour of her home that she just got moved into. And it's very cute. It's just the perfect size. She's got room for guests if she has guests, so that works out really well. And while I was on the phone with her, a lizard somehow got into her home, because she lives in, southern Georgia. So a lizard got in her home. And she was trying to chase it out with a Viking bowl, a Tupperware lid, and 2 dogs. It was hilarious to watch. That was probably the most fun and the most laughter I had had in a while. And it cracked me up. It was hilarious. That was really fun to watch her go through. I know that sounds horrible as a parent, but it was really fun to watch her go through, because it really gave me quite a few giggles, and I needed those giggles tremendously that night. So I got quite a few giggles that night. But the house is perfect sized, and she's fixing to be married, so it's going to be the perfect size for a while, I would suspect. And it's pretty close to her work, but it's also super close to his work. So when they do get settled, He will be super close and not having to drive forever in a day to get to work, because that's not fun. I did that for 8 years and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Okay, I don't know if you can see kind of what I've got going on here, but I've got pretty much the whole top, almost half of it covered, just with the extras that I had. Now, like I said, the top and bottom will be trimmed with a 1/2 inch wide velveteen ribbon. And then I will be putting the Rick Rack ribbons in between the pieces themselves, so you won't be seeing the splits in between the pieces. That's the one that I'm going to have to probably glue in the morning. It's being a booger. It's right on that seam and that bend, and it certainly does not want to comply, but that's okay. If we need to use the glue gun, it's perfectly okay. We can come back and hit it in the morning. In any spots that don't dry, we can hit with a glue gun. Now, when this dries, and when I get all the other pieces on, I will be putting a whole piece or a whole new layer of Mod Podge on it. So this thing will get Mod Podged a few times. This right here will be cut off. I just don't have to cut it off right now, so I'm not worried about it. But this is the first layer of the extra, and I still have one piece to go. I just don't know where to put it. I guess right here where there's no orange would be probably the best place. So I think that little bit of fabric went quite a ways. I'm really tickled that it went that far, to be quite honest. Just trying to cut and make angles a little bit more easily covered later, so I'm not piecing myself to death when I get to the last few pieces, because the harder it is. Now, would this work better with a thinner fabric? Yeah, absolutely. With a thinner fabric, it would dry glued the next morning. With this wool, it's going to take a couple of layers of Mod Podge. That's just going to happen. But that's okay. I've got a whole thing of Mod Podge here, so it's not gonna be something I can't do. Oh, that's gonna work out beautifully. Look at that. Well, weren't you just made to live there? That was beautiful. The less piecing I have to do later, the happier I will be, because crazy quilts are not my thing, and that's basically, this is a mini crazy quilt is what it is. It is a mini crazy quilt. So I've got a little piece that worked out just great right there. I need to get a little piece of orange right in here somewhere, because I'm having a little blank spot right here. Oh, he wants to live right there. That'll work out. So you can see as I work down and get some smaller pieces, I'm trying to spread them around so that they don't all end up in the same place. And I know tomorrow I'll have more after I finish my sewing with these little wool spots. Wish I had a clothespin handy. I may have to go get me one and put right there. That'll be the only part that's not sticking. But as you piece, you just kind of want to look around and see any spots that you think you might have a piece for. There, that's perfect. And just try to get them in there. Try not to waste anything at all, if at all possible. Try to use every little piece of fabric, because the game here is to use it all and waste nothing. That was the great grandmother's excuse for making crazy quilts, was they were wasting nothing. And so I try to do them justice when I try to do this. I try to at least not waste anything. It's not always the funnest. It's not always the most fun experience. I'm not going to lie. Crazy quilting is not always the most fun experience. But it certainly is a thrifty experience, because you certainly do not waste anything. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to put every little piece, even the ones I've cut, I'm going to try to fit them in here somehow. I moved that. Move back. Bubba, move back. Thank you. Trying to make sure my joints are where I need my joints to be here. I've got a little space right up there where this, before the green one will fit prettier though. Let me stick that right there. It'll fit right there in this green one. I now have only one leftover piece of fabric. Let's see if I can use it somewhere. I'm going to put this one right here. This is the only piece of fabric I have left from everything I cut earlier. I'm just going to turn this around and look for a spot that needs a neighbor. Well, I did a good job. I've not got many spots that need a neighbor. I guess I can use them right next to there because there is just a little tiny spot right there. Tip him out. There we go. Arian's going to be buddies. Okay. Now I'm going to go back around this and just kind of make sure that I've got them all kind of coated. You can see all that. See all the piecing. It's kind of pieced really good right there. There's like a really demanding spot right there that I had to do. Now these colors will be bright again tomorrow once the Mod Podge dry, so don't freak out. I like the browns and stuff because I have a darker home, so I like the darker colors. And I will be trimming it out with a darker ribbon. So I don't mind the darker colors. So if y'all can see that, you can see how much I got done already with just this one round of scraps. That is a pretty good deal right there, y'all. And those places where the joints come together, there will be rickrack there, so it will be hidden a little bit. You don't have to freak out or worry that's going to show. There will be rickrack there. So we got about half of this done tonight. I'm just going to let it sit here and dry. And as I work more on this second hat, my second hat tomorrow, because the first hat I did not like. As I work more on the second hat tomorrow, I will keep an eye on it and keep my scraps and add to it as the day progresses. Let me put my brush back in the water. Wash my hands. And Oscar's running after me thinking he's going to go outside, and he is not. No, you are not. No, not going out. Nope. You have to wait till Dad gets. Oh, I know. I just made you mad. That's okay. You'll live with it. Nope, you're not going out. No, look at all this glue on my hands, Oscar. Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's polished. Ew. Okay. No, you're not going out right now. No. Ain't happening. I'm fixing to do my dishes. Oh, okay. So there's a few things to do tonight. Got a few things done. The Oscar thinks he's going to get to go out. He's all about going outside. There's a few things I got done tonight. David is making the fur palms for Christmas ornaments. He's got some of those made. He's making some smaller ones, so there's different sizes, different cost points. He also had a smaller... Oh, you're welcome, Gigi. He also had a smaller hide that he needed to do something with because all of it did not want to tan, so we're making smaller... They're fox ones, but we're making smaller ones, so there will be a few fox ornaments available. I have got all the disc, the flat hanging gnome ornaments to make. I've got like 20 of those to make. He's already cut me some more of the stand-up gnomes, and I'm going to actually find some larger pieces of wood that will make some larger gnomes. But I think that they will primarily sell at the event in December. I don't think that y'all would want to be shipping on those. But I'm trying to do, if he's cutting the wood and he's making the pieces, I'm trying to piece whatever he makes together and save him some of the work. That's my goal, at least. I won't say I'm always succeeding, but I'm trying. The last couple of days, I really just had to give my hands time to chill out because they were not doing well after the last week that I had. They were just really grumpy and really swollen and wanting to stay in like a half flare. My hands were. So while I've not done too horribly body-wise, my hands have just been horrible. And with the wind and the barometric pressure change, my ears that for years did not drain have drained too well. And so my vertigo has kind of popped up and bothered me a little bit this week. But I still got pictures done and got stuff on Etsy and got my laundry done and kind of got caught up on a few things. But now I'm terribly behind again on dishes because that is just my life, apparently. But I just wanted to get a few things started to get my hands working again because I am super excited about this Chupacabra cat. And it's kind of like been the thing that I've been focused on in my mind for the last week or so. And so I really wanted to do something this evening that was going to help my fingers start to work again because they've been really, really obnoxiously like defiant this week. And I think that I'm possibly going to be able to do the Chupacabra cat tomorrow night or Friday. Maybe Friday. I may save it for Friday night thing. This is already drying so well. That is already, imagine when the edges are distressed and you've got like a Christmas tree or a couple of Christmas trees on the front made out of twigs and rustic bows. Won't that be pretty? Or an angel made out of wire and willow. Be like thin wire and thin willow. Spray painted the wire and probably make it like a rusty brown color. Make it with brass. May do a brass wire angel and a bow. I don't know. We'll see what it says to me when I get ready to finish it. But those are my two options there. And then the shadow box, most definitely going to do simple, small, tiny decor. And I will use those little trees if I can find a little deer. I used to have 5,000 little deer sprinkled across my home. I don't know if they just got packed off by children over the years or if I've put them somewhere. I don't know. I'm gonna look in Haley's bookshelves in her room. Sometimes stuff would end up in there. But I'm trying to get a head start. Now, I've got some frames that I've got to paint that I'm also going to be doing more of the gospel hymns inside of those and distressing and putting bows on. I've got more of those. I've got 4 or 5 more frames that I'm going to use and repaint and repurpose for that. And then I may, since I've got some fabric coming in to make my big lampshade. That's going to be, I want it to be super pretty. This one can be stuck in a corner and hung from the ceiling in a corner. I don't mind. It's going to be cute, but it's the big one. I want the pretty fabric on. So when I get the big one and I'll put the pretty fabric on it, we'll make an evening of that. And it's going to be gorgeous. And the leftovers of fabric, I may make a couple of lamps to send with David to sell at the December event. Because I can go to a thrift shop and repurpose a lamp that's still in great condition and paint it and seal it and make it something beautiful that somebody will want to purchase and give it a secondary life. So that's kind of my goal there. But I was interested to see how this wool material, this wool felt, would hold up against this Mod Podge and this lampshade. So even if I have to go back with my glue gun, that's okay. I just really want to know how this is going to work out and what it's going to look like. And it's just a little tiny lampshade that if I don't like it hanging in here somewhere, I can put it on a little lamp in the bedroom and it will go on my quilts on the bed all the times of the year because I use muted nature colors in my bedroom all year round. So I just kind of wanted to give it a whirl and see what it would turn out to be. Now, fabrics would already look like it had become part of the lampshade. So if you work with thin fabrics, it's a little bit more irritating to piece, but it stays in place much better and it pieces much easier once you get it laid down. And it dries much easier. But I'm interested to see how this fabric is going to do. So we'll have an idea tomorrow if it's going to be compliant or if it's going to make me work. So if I wake up in the morning and have a disaster here on the table, I'll be sure to share with you all so that you know I failed. But I have high hopes for it. And I think with what I have left to do, I'll have enough to piece that. And one more sitting, we'll probably have it pieced. And then I'll just have to wait for it to dry and add the trims and it'll be done. It's not like a super time consuming thing. Now, if I was going to sell it, yeah, I'd spend way more time on it. But because it's something that's going to go in my house, I get it to where I'm okay with it and I stash it in my house. Now, probably someone will come into my house and love it and pack it home. That's normally what happens. But I'm okay with it I like to try crap like this and just see what happens. Yeah, my friends visit and they're like, "That's cool. Can I have that?" And we end up normally doing a barter deal, or they'll get it for a upcoming holiday or birthday, and I'm like, I'll make another one. And so that's why I don't have a lot of my own artwork in my own home. Number one, I don't always like to stare at my own artwork after I've created it. I want it to go somewhere else so somebody can appreciate it. I like to stare at other people's artwork. So I like to get other people's artwork in my home because I like to sit and stare at other people's art. And so I don't always keep a lot of my art. But also, if I do like something, I'll hang on to it for a little while, but then eventually one of my friends will end up with it. It's just the way it works. So my house is just one of those homes. It just happens. But I'm tickled with the way this started. So, Chupacabra Cat, tomorrow, Friday, probably Friday. Let's just shoot for Friday, just in case tomorrow my hands are still turds. If my hands are good tomorrow night, and I have my ribbon that I ordered in, we may start to make some of the Christmas ornaments, the fur Christmas ornaments. I even ordered little die-cut antlers to turn some of them into little fat deer. I'm excited about that because I think they'll be terribly cute, and I'm going to keep one for my tree. But I'm super excited about what's drying here tonight to see how it works. So if you have an old picture frame, an old plaque on the wall that you don't like the message on it anymore, or you just want to repurpose it, paint that sucker, let it dry, and then Mod Podge you paper napkins with a pretty pattern, old fabric, hymns out of a hymnal. If you've got a favorite book that you broke the spine on and you had to buy a new book to read because you broke the spine on the other one. Anybody else do that? I do that all the time. I have books that I have to keep copies in my home of because the first one I've read so many times I've broken the spine. Use that. Take your favorite passage or your favorite page and put it on your plaque and decorate it and put it on your wall. Get creative. Turn the paper, fold it, learn how to do some of that origami and turn it into ornaments for your tree. Or learn how to do one of those big wreath rolled. You can take the paper out of anything and roll it into a cone and do one of those big cone wreaths out of nothing but paper. And they look super, super expensive. I've done one. I forget who got that. Somebody packed it off. They came in here and loved it. I was like, just take it. I did one of those. I had like 200 cones rolled and made a huge wreath. And it was beautiful. You roll the cone and then you smash the last like inch and a half and staple it. And then you glue all the stapled bits into layers. And it is the most beautiful thing. And I saw it somewhere on Pinterest and I made it. I probably still got the thing on Pinterest. I need to go and, if I can find it, I'll screenshot it and share it. Beautiful craft. Super easy to do. You can do it out of $1 thrifted book at a yard sale or 2 newspapers, or you can cut them up and you can do it almost out of anything, any size, out of anything. As long as it will roll into a cone, you can turn it into this. So if I try to find the picture and share with you. That was, it's gorgeous. And it looks like you've gone into a high expensive, like a high retail store and bought it. And it's like some interior designer came up with it. It's beautiful. And I had mine for about 4 or 5 months and actually hung behind me where my grapevine used to be. And then a friend saw it and that was it. And it just had a cardboard circle behind it that I'd cut out to fix it to. It was beautiful. And I had put, I can't remember if I put the hydrangea flowers, or if I had put gardenias in the middle. But I had put those big, huge flowers in the middle with just a touch of greenery and a bow. And it's gorgeous. It was beautiful. So I wonder if they still have that. I need to figure out who packed that off. It was beautiful. Time consuming, but the cheapest craft I've ever done in my life. It was the cheapest craft I've ever done in my life. So I recommend y'all check into that. We do have a couple of, like 3 or 4 of the gnomes placed on Etsy. I've got Teresa's held back that she wants until we can get together and get those shipped and stuff. I did put the small coverlet quilt on Etsy, but I didn't put a huge price on it because it is a coverlet and it's beautiful. I've still got lots of life left, but people's like, well, why did you put half the price? Because it's literally half the quilt to the other ones I normally sell. So that's why I put a smaller price on it. And yeah, it's a scalloped edge and it's a lot of handwork, but I did it. It's been kept in a serious, but I did it so long ago now. I'm not like mad about all the work I put into it. So it's going to be a good buy for somebody. And then I put something else on. I can't remember what. I think I put one of my decor dream catchers that I've done. Yeah, put it on there. I think that's it right now because I've got to talk to David about the other stuff for him to make a choice about what he wants me to put up. And of course, I'm still in the gnome making process. So the ornament flat gnomes will be placed up soon and they will be easier and cheaper to ship. So if you don't want to pay the shipping on one of the heavier gnomes, wait until I put up the ornament, the flat ornament gnomes. They will be much cheaper to purchase and ship because shipping is a necessary evil, but I hate shipping. Y'all know that. I hate shipping. So we're slowly getting there. And while I have had to take a couple of days, let my body chill out and recoup, I have been like lining stuff up to get stuff done. So I had everything found and centered and isolated here to do these crafts tonight. And I will probably do a few more. We'll do a check-in on these tomorrow, and then I'll probably do a few more small things tomorrow night in preparation for the cat, the chupacabra cat, on Friday. That's what we'll do. So we'll be back here to craft tomorrow night. Friday night, I'll create an event. It will be the Chupacabra Cat crafting hour. Probably be a couple hours, to be quite honest. And that will be the big live for the week. So I'm excited to make him. Even though I'm tired, I'm super excited to make him. But we'll do a touch base with these tomorrow and a couple of small crafts to kind of keep us moving forward to the Chupacabra Cat. And because I still have one thing I need to go get. And I'm supposed to go grab it in the morning, so it's not a big deal. I could probably find something else to replace it with around here, but I'll run and get it in the morning. I'll make Dave show for me around. That's what I'll do. So I've got some more necklaces that I tried to do the bubble resin, the layered resin stuff on, so I'll probably do some more giveaways, some more necklace giveaways, and I am working on the other dream catcher as my hands will work, because I know you wanted another dream catcher. So we're moving forward with those things as well. So we're still moving forward. It's just been a slow week. I'm going to let the dog go out because he's grunting at me. I can tell he's upset with me. I'm going to wash a few more dishes, and I'm going to call it a night because my hands are being buttholes and hurting. But the swelling's down, and they're working a lot better. I still can't wear any of my rings, though. But the function is much better than yesterday or the day before. So not going to complain too much. They're advancing. We're getting better. Oddly enough, this was the biggest issue from the weekend. RSD. I just can't explain it. You would have thought my back or my legs would have been the problem, but it was my hands. Don't get it. But that's how it worked out this time. So I will also let you all know what the finished Spanky's hat looks like when I get it done. It's just a slow process because it's hand stitching and my hands are super slow right now. And I didn't like the way the first one was going together, so I'm going to redo it. And once I get this put together, because it's wool, I have to wash it so it can form to the kid's head. So it's just a slow process, hand stitching with hands that don't want to work this week. But I got plenty of days left. I'm not worried about my deadline. We'll get there. It's just needed for Halloween night. So no biggie there. Everything else is going good. I'm just slow this week and terribly, just kind of like my Raynaud's is acted up because it's been cold. It's been way below freezing here a few nights. So my Raynaud's is acted up and I've just been really, really slow. And my vertigo has had a few moments where it scared me a little bit, but I'm draining. But sometimes I drain so quickly that it makes my vertigo act up a little bit. So I've just been really slow this week. Really slow this week. But I've been going, so I can't complain. So thanks for all the thoughts, prayers, good energy sent my way. I've needed every bit of it because I have slept a lot. My body has had to sleep a lot to get through this. But I'm feeling like I'm back to going now. This one's going to dry lighter, but isn't that pretty? I can't wait to decorate it and find some pretty baubles to put on it. So, okay, we'll check in tomorrow and see how everything dries. See what worked and what didn't. Yeah, it's supposed to get back up warm this weekend, so about the time my body will have gotten used to a cold snap, we'll be back to spring. This is just going to be it until winter sets in, and then I'll get okay with it by the time I get okay with winter, and then spring will be back. It's just how my body works for the winter months. It sucks. But it is what it is, and we just got to deal with it. So we'll just deal with it and go on. But I'm anxious to see what works tonight, what's a fail, and what we should have done different and that we'll learn from for the next time. But that's what tomorrow's going to be a learning day for everybody. So make sure you come back and see what worked, what didn't, and what I'm going to have to reimagine so that you only have to do this once instead of like me and probably 2 or 3 times. So check in with you tomorrow. I'm going to do some dishes and hit the hay. Love you. Thanks for spending time with me. And we'll do more with better energy tomorrow because I'm hoping I'm better tomorrow. Bye, guys.